Welcome to People with Purpose. I am your host, Sylvain Rochon. I'm a speaker, an author, a serial entrepreneur, and a business strategist. My purpose is to engineer a paradise on Earth using cutting-edge technology. I hope this show will give you excellent examples of individuals that chose to do great things in their personal and professional lives. Perhaps they will inspire you to follow in their footsteps. The show's format is very simple. I ask my guests 3 simple questions. What is your personal purpose? Why is it important to you? And how did you get started? Now let's hear from our guest.
Hello, David.
Hello.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
So, hello, everybody. This is David Long. He is the CEO of SageT Software. Been doing SageT for about 10 years, right?
That is correct. It's been about 10 years.
Been about 10 years. And before that, you've done several other things, but you were a programmer analyst at Nortel, dealing with some pretty big projects over there back in the day.
That's right. I worked at Nortel for about 2 years, and I built systems in what were we using at the time? We used Smalltalk, and we used Unix systems, and I worked on managed object agents, which is a long phrase that describes the telecom software that I built.
Cool. Now, normally with my guests on this on the series, I don't ask too much about what they're currently doing professionally because we have specific questions. But with you, since we've known each other as CEO of SageT, and we've been talking about what SageT does, which is something pretty exciting, transformative, I guess, in the software world. I think it would be appropriate for you to describe what does SageT do and what have you been doing for all these 10 years in building it?
Yeah, so what does SageT do? We're an innovative software company, and our leading product is called text-to-software. What it is, it's a tool that builds software like many others, and the really interesting thing about it is it can read. You can take a textual description of a program. Basically, just you write down your process or whatever it is that you want to make into software, and you can feed this text into the text-to-software tool, and it actually makes the app for you. So I started thinking about this idea about 10 years ago, and raised about $3 million from investors and got the company off the ground. A few missteps along the way, and we've averaged about $500,000 in revenues for the last 3 years, and it works, and I'm having fun. So there you go.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love working with startups because they are the innovators. They're the ones that are transforming what we currently have into something better, something more optimized, something that we can leverage further down the road to do better software and better hardware, better robotics and all this stuff. So it's pretty exciting. And doing this for 3 years, I mean, it's been a pretty long road because 10 years, and right now I know you got good revenues, but you're still somewhat in the startup phase, and I know how difficult that is. So you must have a very interesting motivation or very powerful drivers behind you to give you the energy to kind of go through all that for such a long time. So I guess our first question typically for the interview follows through like this, that what is that driver? What's your personal purpose?
I'm actually a very peaceful person, and I'm basically a person who is living their life the way they want to. And I only have the things in my life that I want, and things that I don't want, I don't keep around me. I was on a vacation a very long time ago, and I just, every so often you come across a person, they say something, they may not even know what it is they're saying, but it means something to you. And I think it was a joke that this guy was talking about when we were in Florida. And he was talking about how he liked to sit on the beach and watch the ocean. And his point was that the waves of the ocean would come to him, and all he had to do was just hold still, and the whole ocean would be the thing that was moving. And I thought that was really profound. And I thought about it for a while, and I thought that's actually a really cool way to live your life. Instead of having to travel to be places, everybody is always going somewhere to do something for some reason. Looking over the next hill to find that thing. It could be a girlfriend or boyfriend. It could be a new job. It could be you've got to go and do something for some reason. Everybody's always going somewhere. And this guy said this thing to me more than 10 years ago, and I thought, you know what? It's just as good to just be in the same spot, and you'll probably see just as much stuff because things will happen, and you don't actually have to spend all that energy trying to go somewhere. And I mean that not just like physically, but philosophically. Why not just make it all about holding still? So you know, that was an idea, and I actually did it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to find the things that I want, whatever they are, and I'm just going to keep them. And my mission is just to be like this rock that does not move, no matter what. So I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and lo and behold, these things come to me. It could be a phone call. It could be anything. And I'm just here all day long. People know where to find me, Dave Long, Sage T, whatever. I'm not moving. You know, sometimes in life there's things that happen that force you to move, like a disaster or things like that. But short of something, you know, that's like, you know, the hand of God or fate or whatever you want to call it, forcing you to move, I'm not moving. So I've been here for 10 years, and I'm going to be here for another 10, and I'm quite happy. So that's my approach to things.
So if I can take something out of this, the bottom line, you're looking for contentment. I
am content, actually.
And that was this joke the guy was saying in Florida was very profound, and said, well, no, to be content, you don't have to be anywhere else. You just have to be wherever you are, right? If I'm understanding you correctly.
Exactly. And I have no shortage of things to do and trouble and problems. And, you know, there's the same amount of trouble and problems staying in the same spot as if you are going somewhere. It's about the same.
Yeah.
I spend a lot less energy just standing my ground than trying to run over the next hill.
It seems to me like, excuse me, Dave. It seems to me like, you know, being content is more, I don't want to use the word complex, but is not as simple as just, you know, don't travel or don't go anywhere else. There must be some other pieces to that puzzle than the actual travel or no travel element.
It's actually incredibly hard, because as soon as you stand your ground, you'll find that things are going to try and push you off that ground. It's like what's a good analogy? It's like a wrestling match. If you try and plant your feet, as soon as you do that, these forces will try and move you off of that.
It's like the environment around you, kind of like all.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard as soon as you try and do that. But once you can find a firm footing in life, in your business, with your relationships, a lot of energy is now there, and you're able to focus it onto whatever you want to, and it actually gives you a huge amount of power. When issues come up, and that's what life is about, it's about solving problems. When you're firmly planted, and you're not spending energy that you don't need, you wind up with a big amount of reserves. And then when something comes up, you can put the reserves forth. And if you're not rushing, you can actually focus it all onto a very narrow point, and you actually become unstoppable.
Like safety, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, safety is not a a company that's so powerful it could take on every opponent all at the same time in all places. We couldn't do that. But on a limited engagement, a specific business goal, we can bring a huge amount of power onto a specific problem, and we're pretty much unstoppable. And that's one of the tactics that we use here at the company, and I use it in my own life as well. And the more and more I do that, the more effective I become as a person and also as a CEO.
And why do you think this this philosophy, I suppose, why do you think it's so important in your personal life?
Well, I've tried it the other way.
Okay.
So, prior to this conversation, and when I internalized that, I had a new approach. But prior to that, I was that person who was running over the next hill. And I'm a very good survivor, and I've survived a lot of things. But at the end of the day, if you want to have a life that you can look back on and go, wow, I did a lot, and others are saying, wow, he did a lot. Everything you do has to add to the next thing you're going to do. It all has to add up. And if you're constantly restarting and saying, oh, forget that, now I'm going to do this. Okay, forget that, now I'm going to do this. And then, that thing I said I was going to do, I don't want to do anymore, now I'm doing this. If you keep changing your mind, it's like you constantly keep hitting the reset button. And you can be good at that, but at the end of the day, if you hit the reset button on your life, every year, after you're 70 or 80 years old, what have you actually done? And there's a lot of people who are constantly changing what you're doing. Changing once in a while is necessary, and you should do it. But if you're doing it too much, things never add up for you. They don't add up in your personal relationships. They don't add up anywhere. There has to be a plan where things are building. And it's you're building your own life story. I guess I reached a turning point where I decided, okay, I've changed enough. And, maybe having had all those experiences through constant change gave me enough grounding that when, I think, well, maybe I should go and do this, I think, well, I tried that already. I've had that experience. Not interested. Maybe that it's an era that all people have to go through. The sooner you get out of it, I think, the better. And some people never get out of it. Maybe some people are okay with that. I don't know, but I'm just telling you how I look at things.
Yeah, everybody has their own perceptions and their own experiences, I suppose. But that's pretty deep. And you mentioned this one single event in Florida when the guy mentioned the ocean and the waves coming to him. Was that the earliest instance of you realizing how you should live your life now, or does it come from prior to that? How far in the past can you go to know that was the starting point for this new path?
Well, I don't know. People have always said I'm very philosophical. So, I'm the guy at the wild party who's still, trying to figure out what the meaning of it all is. I guess I was born that way. So, there's the current thing, like you're at lunch, and I'm thinking, no, what's the point? Should we be eating meat, or, maybe lunch should be done in other ways, and what's it all mean? And I early on, I think I was probably overthinking a lot of stuff. But I think, the way I was kind of converging on to needing to take this philosophical approach that I had to life and applying it. And in some ways, CHD is kind of an outlet for me. I had to make something that reflected how I looked at things. And if I didn't do that, then I think I would always have felt unsatisfied. So my early, like when I got in the computer business, it was a choice. Like basically, everybody thought I'd either go into law or computers. Nobody told me at the time when I was a teenager how much lawyers earned. if they told me that fact, I may have actually gone in the other direction. But when I looked at law, what I saw was a lot of talking and a lot of paper, and neither of those things really interested me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm an executive in a software company, and guess what I do all day? Shuffle paper and talk. But anyway, I decided to go towards technology. That's where I thought the money was. And I don't know if that really turned out to be true or not, but that's the path I went on. So after about 10 years, I was looking at the software industry itself, and I felt that I could do better. I looked at the, if you will, the philosophy of companies and how they go about doing things in the technology business, and I saw a lot of very short-minded thinking, a lot of what I thought was maybe too much of a focus on money. Or a better way of saying it was a very short-sighted focus on money. And I was looking at the money too, but I was taking the long view, no pun intended. And what I saw was actually a potential for making even, it's not really money, it's value as a supplier and for the marketplace. But what was needed was to have a longer term perspective on how you went about doing projects in the software business. And then out of there, I saw that there was a need, and then I was going to fulfill it with this thing that I was going to invent. That eventually became Sage Tea. So it's kind of Dave Long's philosophy of life, I suppose, enveloped in a company. And it also tied me to it. Now I have to do it because if this is me, then there's no way out of this life. So I'm here now. And I better make it work.
Well, now you're the rock, and things are coming to you.
It is. We are. Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting, and I'm sure we'll, because we can't talk about it here, but there's stuff happening with Sage Tea, some exciting bits and pieces, and I'm sure the company will become more visible in the next few years. Yeah. And then everybody's going to say like, oh, here's David Long. Now we'll want to hear his story. But I was there first.
That's right. Who knew him when?
All right. Well, that's it for today, David. That was great. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
And hey, all the success. Sorry.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. Please join me also on Clubify, a social app allowing us to share ideas and where you can participate in some of my projects. The link is in the section below. Also, if you wish to recommend someone great I should interview, please let me know. And as always, follow your passion. See you next week.